What if the story of the flood wasn't just about water? What if what God tried to wash away still lives inside us today? They say the flood ended thousands of years ago. But what if it never truly ended, only changed its form? Before the world drowned in water, it drowned in sin. Before the rain came, there was silence, a silence that screamed judgment. Tonight, we will unveil the story God once hid from the hearts of men, a story of mercy, wrath, and rebirth. This is the flood no one expected. Long before our time, before nations and kingdoms, there was a world much like ours, loud, proud, and blind to the heavens. The earth had become a mirror of darkness. Violence ruled, innocence was a memory, and humanity, once made in God's image, began to corrupt his creation. The scriptures say, every thought of man's heart was only evil continually. Genesis 6:5. It was not the rain that broke God's heart. It was humanity's silence toward him. And so, God whispered to one man, a man who still listened, a man named Noah. Noah's story was not only about survival, it was about divine obedience. When the world had forgotten what obedience meant, the flood was not just punishment, it was purification. And in its depths lies a secret we have yet to understand. Before the first drop of rain ever fell, the earth trembled with sin. People laughed at warnings, mocked the prophets, and worshipped their own reflections. Noah's hammer echoed through valleys, a sound of faith in a faithless world. They asked him, "Why build an ark when there is no sea?" He answered, "Because God spoke." But what they didn't know, what none of them saw, was that the flood had already begun inside their souls. A flood of greed, arrogance, and blindness that drowned their spirits long before the waters rose. God's voice echoed in the stillness. "The end of all flesh has come before me." He gave humanity time, decades of mercy, but every warning became a joke. Every call to repentance, a reason for mockery. Noah worked day after day under the heat and laughter of men, and as his hands built the ark, heaven wept for what was coming. The flood wasn't born from anger alone, it was born from heartbreak. One morning, the wind changed. The sky darkened. Animals began to move without command, as if guided by invisible hands. 2 by 2 they came. The earth held its breath. Then, the first drop fell. One drop. Then another and another, until the sound of rain became the voice of God himself. The laughter stopped, the mocking ceased, and the heavens opened in fury and sorrow. The water rose from the deep. Mountains were swallowed, cities erased. The ocean became one with the sky. Inside the ark, Noah heard the cries of those who once mocked him, fading beneath the storm. Outside, the earth was reborn through destruction. This was not only judgment, it was renewal. For when God destroys, he also recreates. The same waters that brought death carried salvation. Then one day, it stopped. No more thunder, no more rain. Only silence, heavy and holy. The ark rested on Ararat, and Noah stepped onto a new world, a world washed clean but haunted by memory. In that moment, God made a promise, a covenant written in the sky. Never again will I destroy all life with a flood. The rainbow wasn't just beauty, it was a scar, heaven's memory of judgment. But centuries later, the story changed. Cultures told their own versions, Gilgamesh, Atrahasis, each trying to remember what heaven did. And yet, one truth remained. The flood was not just an event, it was a mirror. The story wasn't erased, it was hidden within us. Every time humanity drowns in its own corruption, every time innocence disappears beneath greed, the flood rises again unseen within the heart. Look around. Violence fills the earth again. Truth is mocked, faith forgotten. technology became the new Tower of Babel. Mankind once again builds without God, and the rain clouds are gathering. This time not of water, but of consequence. Maybe the next flood won't come from the sky. Maybe it will come from within. A flood of truth, revelation, and awakening that drowns the false and purifies the soul. Jesus said, "As it was in the days of Noah, so it will be at the coming of the Son of Man." Matthew 24:37. The flood was not just a memory. It was a prophecy, a warning that history repeats itself when hearts forget heaven. We are living in days like Noah's, where faith is ridiculed, sin is celebrated, and truth is silenced. But once again, God is whispering to the faithful, "Build your ark. Prepare your spirit. The waters are rising again." The ark today is not made of wood, it's made of faith. Those who still listen, who still believe, are building in silence. Not a ship on water, but a refuge of spirit. While the world mocks again, the faithful prepare again. And when the spiritual flood comes, only those anchored in truth will stand. The flood was never erased. It was transformed from water to warning, from history to prophecy. God didn't destroy to end humanity. He destroyed to begin again. And maybe He's about to begin again now. If this message touched your heart, don't let it fade like the rain after the storm. Share this story, because someone you love may be drowning in silence right now. Remind them, the flood wasn't the end. It was the beginning of hope. What if the flood wasn't about destruction, but about transformation? What if every storm in your life is not meant to drown you, but to cleanse you, to prepare you for a new beginning? The story was never erased. It was written in water and still whispers beneath the waves. This is the flood no one expected, and maybe it's already begun.